Start with you. What's your reaction?
I'll tell you what, I was shocked and disappointed. There is a code and there is protocols within the coaching fraternity. You're the head coach. You made a decision to move on from the offensive coordinator. You thank him, you wish him well, and it's ancient history. Nothing good comes out of those comments. You own the decision. You're going to own the success of this team. And within the coaching fraternity, you just don't do that, Ryan.
Graz.
I mean, also, like, what are you doing? Are you admitting to the world that you fired your offensive coordinator because you scored too many points? I mean, is Mike McCarthy in some kind of competition committee meeting where they've decided to change the way of determining outcomes of games by how rested your defense is instead of how many points you score versus how many the other team? I mean, come on, man. It's 2023. There are people running around here that heard that and said it sounded like a different language to them. We've moved past
Andy
points.
Andy Reid
We like
wants to
points.
light up the scoreboard.
Right?
I think it's working out well for him.
So, Dan, Dan Orlovsky, sounds like you agree with the comments, the principle of them.
No. I would say this. If you think that just running the football is the key determining factor in winning a Super Bowl in the NFL, you're watching a different NFL than me right now. I think winning in the NFL is about throwing to score, running to win. And you got to throw early on in football games. I don't think what was said about – listen, Kellen Moore is the next quarterback. He's going to want to score a ton of points, all that stuff. The Cowboys didn't lose last year because they were unable to run the football in certain moments. The Cowboys lost last year because the quarterback threw too many interceptions in critical moments. That's the candid reason why. And injuries piled up to their roster. It wasn't because of them wanting to score more points than the other team or trying to light up a scoreboard, so to speak. So I don't necessarily agree with kind of the philosophy behind that.
Okay. So McCarthy also, Dan's like, no. McCarthy also talked about maximizing Dak, being the play caller. It's going to be a new voice. Everybody could use a new voice. Yeah. So Graz, what are you hearing and what do you think about McCarthy trying to maximize Dak through calling the plays?
Well, I think sort of go back to what we're talking about with Ezekiel Elliott. Like, you have to assess what you have on your offense in terms of explosive playmakers and frankly, get more of them. When Tony Pollard got hurt in the playoff game, they pretty much had one guy left on the field that was going to be an explosive, difference-making type of offensive player, and that was CeeDee Lamb. They need to get more around him. Like, is Michael Gallup going to be better a year removed from his injury? Maybe, but they need to be thinking about guys that can make game-breaking type of plays to put around CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott.
Can I jump in here real quick, Go ahead.
Ryan,
can I jump in on this conversation? So, First of all, you have to answer the question of what is the maximization or where is the max for Dak Prescott? What is he? And then figuring out how to maximize it. Now, everyone's going to bring this conversation to the interceptions of last year. If I was Mike McCarthy, I wouldn't. I would not make last year's interceptions that big a deal. Dak Prescott historically is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever when it comes to not throwing interceptions. I'm not going to pretend that they didn't happen, but to maximize him is not going to be sitting there and harping over these interceptions that happen. You watch them, we talk about them, we learn a little bit, and we move forward from them. But if the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy or people are going to make a big deal about these interceptions, they're going to make a mountain out of a molehill. The reality was this was a one-year thing for Dak Prescott. The body of work is way better than it was last year. I don't think they should make a big deal about the picks.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that. 11 of his 17 picks, including the postseason, when Dallas had the lead or the game was tied, if that number was cut in half, they're right on nipping at the heels of the Philadelphia Eagles and winning the division. So not all interceptions are created equal. And if they could just clean up the ones when they have the lead, Dallas is a better football team doing nothing else.
That's 6 years of not turning the ball over. Yeah. Last year was bad, but that's not who he is.
Yeah.
Look, I think that's one of the big reasons that Mike McCarthy made that decision was those interceptions happened. They were bad interceptions, and it obviously cost them the game against the 49ers in the playoffs.
No, you weren't listening. It's because they scored too many points. That's why. That's why he made the decision. He explained it.
I'm defending Dak.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was wondering about that too.
I'll tell
Lots
you what,
going
I
on
love
here,
it. You
Ryan.
guys all sitting together and you're disagreeing just like normal. All right, thanks, guys. Dan Orlovsky, I know you got to get ready to run your 40 times, so we'll see you in a little bit. But
half day.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.